In this guide, I'm going to show you how we can change the page settings. And this is essentially everything that we can't see on the page itself. So this is a blank test page that I created in the previous tutorial. But if we were to look at the home page here, how do we change the URL that sits at the top? As this is the home page, there is no direct URL for this, but let's go to FAQs as an example. And we can see that it's the website address. This changes from the admin access URL to the full URL, which is in this case pixelhaze.academy. And then we've got the page name after the /. So we need to make sure we include that / when creating links to direct pages. But if we wanted to change that section there, how the page appears, its position on the menu, many of these are managed directly by the admin system itself. So if I click on this arrow in the top right hand corner, I can toggle between preview mode and edit mode. And I'm going to go back to pages on the left hand menu. If you can't see this here, there'll be an arrow to take you back to the root admin menu that will allow us to access the pages. So I now click on pages and we can see our main navigation. The folders are all collapsed at the moment, but we can expand them to view the pages that sit under the folder. Bear in mind that the folder itself is not a link, so I can't click on About. I'd have to hover over it, then find one of the subpages via the menu system. But that's a really good way of having multiple pages on one menu system. Because this is a live working website, I'm not going to be editing that top level menu, and instead I'm going to go to Not Link section. And this is the Squarespace tutorials page that we created in the previous guide. I'm going to hover over this section and now click on this cog icon that will bring up a pop-up window with the page settings. So we're going to start with General. We've got the page title, and it says here it will appear in the top of the browser window. What does that mean? Essentially, it will appear on this tab here. And if I hover over it for long enough, we can change the latter part of this title, so everything after the Pixel Haze Academy and then the hyphen, to the individual page. So this is really good to make sure that we are being descriptive about the content on the page. And also, this is something that will help with SEO search results as well. I made the choice of going something broader and something akin to building a brand as opposed to niching down with the browser title of my homepage. If I wanted to niche down further, it could be, for example, Squarespace courses and guides. That would be more niche, but it doesn't tell the full story of Pixel Haze Academy. So in this case, we can change the page title to give Google an indication of the type of content on the page, which reinforces the message. Then we have the navigation title. The navigation title will appear in the menu system, or the navigation across the top of this site. We can see a little bit of it in the background here, where the pop-up is covering it. So that allows us to go for shorter navigation titles to reduce the amount of space needed on that main navigation, should I decide to move that up into the main nav. So whilst we can have a longer, more detailed title, which is good for search engines, of course within reason, in our browser title, we can have a shorter version in our navigation to save space. And the next step is something I would recommend with all Squarespace pages. But if the website is live, you may have to do an extra step, which is update 301 redirects, and I will create a separate tutorial on how to do that to make these changes without having any negative impact on search engines. But personally, I don't like this URL slug format where it shows a hyphen and then 1. So instead, we need to come up with another naming convention. The reason that Squarespace has done this is to protect an existing page that's Squarespace tutorials. And so that previous page would have been in this exact format. So therefore it puts the -1 at the end because you cannot have two pages with the same URL. So what we could do is rename this and-guides, more detailed in the URL slug. And if you're wondering, this again will be picked up by Google. It's another way of putting our keywords in there, again, as long as we don't go overboard, to show to Google that we are targeting the word tutorials. So we can see here Squarespace tutorials, Squarespace tutorials, Squarespace tutorials. It's a way of increasing what we call keyword density without repeating that word 30 times in the page content, which comes across as spamming. Next up, we have a relatively new feature with QR codes. This allows people to access the page via a QR code option. If I was to toggle that on, We can download that QR code and maybe use Canva or other print materials to print it off as a sticker, for example, to take you directly to this page. There are other tools that will allow you to create custom looking QR codes, but if you're after something quick and that will work straight away, that's a really convenient option. We can switch a page from live to draft by just toggling that off. It will become faded out in the menu system, so we know that that page is not enabled. I'm just going to re-enable it at the moment. We've got the option then to set a password for the page. Now this is different to a member page where you can restrict multiple pages depending on a username and password. This is a cruder password protected option. It's really good if you wanted a short-term temporary page that wasn't handling anything overly sensitive like personal information or financial information, and that will give you some flexibility and some options to update. Finally, to wrap up this tutorial, we'll have a separate tutorial to cover all the other parts of page settings. We can duplicate a page, so if we've got a structure exactly as we like it, we can duplicate it. Or if you're a business owner working with a professional designer, but you want to make content changes yourself, you could always duplicate the page to take a snapshot of that page before you start meddling with the overall layout. That means happy designer, happy you, because you've got that safety net and you can delete that page afterwards. But if you are in a point where you need to reinstate that page, bear in mind that that page that you duplicate it to will have either copy or /1 in the URL slug. Finally, we can set the page as a home page, so you can change your home page from one to another on Squarespace. And that's the general settings for page settings in Squarespace. Next up, we're going to go through the navigation options, SEO information, social image and what that means, and advanced options where you can inject code specifically for that page. So I'll catch you up in that tutorial, or otherwise I'll hope to see you soon. Cheers.